So, Brian Tyler Cohen apparently uploaded a video of President Biden doing a midterm rally, and President Biden gives a very lucid and awake kind of speech, and he is much more coherent and has much more energy than usual. He is not sleepy at all. However, the substance of his entire speech is mostly trash, and he says a bunch of incorrect things. Although he actually does say some substantively correct things as well. So let's take a look and see how terribly / well he does.
What's happened is there are not many real Republicans anymore.
Okay, Joe, what is a real Republican? Because a real Republican, all the Republicans, have consistently supported tax cuts for the wealthy, giveaways for the wealthy, and they have supported wealthy corporations for really more over a century. Because the Republicans are for benefiting the rich through tax cuts and deregulation, and destroying innocent people's lives by destroying the social safety net, as well as destroying other countries with, the endless wars that they illegally start. So, Joe, what is a real Republican? Because those Republicans with those policies are the Republicans of today and the Republicans of the past. That is what Trump did. That is what Bush did. That is what Bush Sr. did. That is what Reagan did. That is what Ford did. That is what Nixon did. That is what Eisenhower did. And that is what Hoover did. Now, of course, to Herbert Hoover's credit, he actually was a non-interventionist on foreign policy, but that's really the only good thing about him. On domestic policy, he was trash. Of course, Calvin Coolidge, known for extreme deregulation and tax cuts for the wealthy and destroying the working class. Warren Harding, his major accomplishment was, his entire cabinet taking bribes, as well as him passing a massive tax cut for the rich. And we can go further and further. But the point is, the real Republicans, there's still a lot of them. Like, that is a Republican Party, so what you just said makes no sense. Joe?
By the way, your sitting governor, he's a Republican you can deal with. We disagree. No, I'm serious.
I don't even know what state this place is taking place in, so I could say some stuff about the governor if I knew, but yeah.
He's within the mainstream of the Republican Party. I respect it.
Mainstream of the Republican Party? What the heck is that? Because the mainstream of the Republican Party is just the Republican Party. All the Republicans agree on all the policies. When you look at the Republicans policy by policy, you'll realize that there is hardly any difference for them. Of course, Donald Trump and Dwight Eisenhower pretend to be anti-war, when really their policies are incredibly pro-war, and Dwight Eisenhower policy is pretty much the same as Richard Nixon, and Donald Trump policy is pretty much the same as George W. Bush, Donald J. Trump, George W. Bush, nearly identical in policy. So, that is the mainstream of the Republican Party.
Conservative Republicans. I don't respect these MAGA Republicans.
You respect conservative Republicans and MAGA Republicans, like they're the same. They all hate the social safety net.
Folks, everybody thinks I'm exaggerating when I say this, but they're coming after your Social Security as well. They think I'm kidding.
The irony being that President Biden and Barack Obama tried to cut Social Security. The irony being that Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton targeted the social safety net. The irony being that these neoliberal, fiscally conservative Democrats are essentially just Republicans. They're Republicans who are better on the social issues, so they would be called moderate Republicans. So that is what these neoliberal corporatists, the corporate Democrats, really are. So, yeah, I mean, maybe do a little self-reflection there, Joe. Republicans are terrible, but Joe Biden has enabled them for much of his career, as has Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and Jimmy Carter.
I'm not joking. Think about this. Think about what they're doing.
Now, to be fair, Joe Biden has done a good job with the National Labor Relations Board, NLRB, whereas Jimmy Carter was busting up unions. So, to be fair, there is a little difference.
And it's all there in black and white. He wants to require Congress to vote on the future of Social Security every 5 years. So, every 5 years, Congress will vote to change, cut, reduce, or entirely eliminate Social Security. How does that make you feel? Do you want to...
Yeah, this is very good because he is attacking the Republicans on the policies, and he is attacking Republicans for wanting to cut Social Security. So this is a very good strategy and very true substantively. A little hypocritical because he also tried to cut Social Security himself. But anyway, yes, this is a very good line of attack, and he's doing a good job in this part of the speech.
Your Social Security in the hands of Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene? I mean it. But it's not just Social Security. Senator Scott wants everything in the federal budget voted on de novo every 5 years it goes out of existence. That includes Medicare, veterans benefits, and everything else. Then along comes...
Yeah, Joe Biden and Barack Obama also tried to cut Medicare.
Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. This is what they put this in writing now. This is their plan. He thinks 5 years is too long. I'm not joking. You think I'm making this up? He wants to put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block every single year. Here, You hear Republicans always talk about the deficit, right? About big spending Democrats? Well, guess what? When the last guy was president, he increased it.
Yes. So President Biden is now talking about the deficit. By the way, that previous part of the speech just mentioned was a great line of attack because he's attacking Republicans on policies and really showing how substantively Republicans are terrible and they are for cutting Social Security and Medicare and all the social benefits. Now, of course, President Biden also called out Ron Johnson by name, and that's very important because Ron Johnson is up for re-election, and hopefully Mandela Barnes wins, so hopefully Ron Johnson is unseated, so it is good that President Biden called out Ron Johnson by name.
Debt by $2 trillion in tax cut. Not a penny but paid for, okay? Well, guess what we did? We reduced the deficit. The Inflation Reduction Act lowers the deficit by $3.
Yeah, so $2 trillion, he's mentioned the Donald Trump tax cuts, which are horrible giveaways to the rich. And so it's good that he's criticizing them. That's really good. But he hasn't repealed them. He's taking no action to repeal them. They're still in place. And this is the same guy who made the Bush tax cuts permanent. Him and Obama, Biden and Obama made the Bush tax cuts permanent. So, yeah, it's great that Biden is criticizing the Trump tax cuts but the fact is Biden made the Bush tax cuts, which are very similar to the Trump tax cuts, permanent. And also, Biden has done nothing to repeal the Trump tax cuts. So maybe do more policy on that and get that repealed. And also, stop talking about the deficit. Deficit is just how do I say this? A straw man, as I would say, as maybe some people would say. The Republicans pretend to care about the deficit. They pretend to care about austerity when they pour billions of dollars into military-industrial complex, tax cuts for the rich, and funding endless war, and destroying the social safety net. So they only care about austerity when it comes to the social safety net actually helping people. When it comes to helping rich people, they don't care about the deficit at all, and they don't care about austerity at all. So they are completely concern trolling when they talk about the deficit. So Democrats need to stop feeding this talking point. But of course, President Biden and Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and Jimmy Carter are basically Republicans, so that's all they're going to talk about. And of course, I forgot to also call out Vice President Harris and Walter Mondale as well. Walter Mondale, of course, is no longer living.
$100 billion over the next 10 years. And that's on top of the $350 billion I reduced the deficit last year and the $1.5 trillion reduced it this year. 2020, you and 81 million Americans voted to save our democracy. That's why Donald Trump isn't just a former president. He is a defeated former president.
Yes, it is very good to take the shots at Donald Trump, and it does show a good aggressiveness.
And it's not hyperbole. Now you need to vote to literally save democracy again. My friends, we offer...
Yes, it is important to vote for people like John Fetterman in Pennsylvania and Charles Booker in Kentucky and Mandela Barnes in Wisconsin. But other than those really progressive, very good people, and of course I believe the name was Max Frost, who recently won a primary. But anyway, other than those progressives, what are the non-progressives? What do the neoliberal corporatists give us? Well, they enable Republicans the whole time they're in office, and they concern troll about voting when really they're just going to enable Republicans and let them do whatever they want anyway and take no substantive policy action. So maybe show a little something if you want to shame people into voting for you.
A starkly different version and vision of this country, a vision of a better America. That's within our reach. That's within our hands if we just vote.
Just vote. Maybe deliver, because when Obama had a supermajority, he did nothing. When Clinton had a supermajority, he did nothing. When Jimmy Carter had a supermajority, he did absolutely nothing and totally blew it.
We elect 2 more senators. We keep House Democrats. We're going to get a lot of unfinished.
Yes, I do agree. Elect John Fetterman, Charles Booker, and Mandela Barnes. That's actually 3, but yeah.
Business we got to get done. Folks, look. We'll codify Roe v. Wade.
Oh, will you? Will you codify Roe v. Wade? Because that is what you promised and you haven't done. That is what Barack Obama promised, and he didn't even bother to do when he had a supermajority. Bill Clinton didn't bother to do when he had a supermajority. Jimmy Carter was literally pro-life, and Jimmy Carter was literally anti-choice, and Jimmy Carter refused to codify Roe v. Wade, even though Jimmy Carter had a supermajority that was bigger than Bill Clinton's and Barack Obama's. And of course, yes, but anyway, they campaign on this issue, but they don't deliver. They should deliver. Now, if he wants to change it and actually deliver, then that's great. Actually do it. But this rhetoric is good, but there needs to be action behind the rhetoric.
We'll ban assault weapons. We'll protect Social Security and Medicare. We'll pass universal pre-K.
Yes, I really hope he does protect Social Security and Medicare, and that he doesn't try to cut it like the time he did when he tried to cut Social Security and Medicare with Obama. I just have to keep saying that. And also, There's many things.
We'll restore the child care tax credit. We'll protect voting rights. We'll pass a
Child tax credit, you let that expire.
reform and make sure
You did not pass voting reform, you should.
no one ever has the opportunity to steal an election again.
Yes, I hope he is also talking to Bush and Cheney.
We're just 76 days away from the midterm election. 76 days. And to state the obvious, there's a lot at stake. So I want to be crystal clear of what's on the ballot this year. Your right to choose is on the ballot this year. The Social Security you paid for from the time you had a job
So he is doing a good job of being very substantive and very policy focused in the speech.
is on the ballot. The safety of your kids from gun violence is on the ballot. And it's not hyperbole. The very survival of our planet is on the ballot.
And what action is he taking on climate change?
Your right to vote is on the ballot. Even the democracy. Are you ready to fight for these things now? Well, then you need to do one thing. Vote! Vote!
So this was really just a way for him to tell voters to vote and then for him to later do nothing.
You got it.
This is the president absolutely.
Okay, and there is Brian Tyler Cohen, who is an absolute bootlicker for the Democratic Party establishment, even though he pretends to be somewhat progressive. But yes, Brian Tyler Cohen is just kissing the donkey of the Democratic politicians and coddling them. I will say he has some impressive rhetorical skills and debate skills, but other than that, he's nothing more than much of a bootlicker who goes around cheerleading for individual Democratic politicians. Anyway, enough about Brian. So this Biden speech is very coherent and lucid, and on the substance, he does some good policy. So my overall rating of this Biden speech is that on the substance, it is pretty good in that it focuses heavily on policy and is very policy focused and very direct and to the point and really speaks about all the substantive issues that are affecting people's lives. But on the other hand, it's a little hypocritical because, of course, President Biden is a neoliberal corporatist who has enabled Republicans, just like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, and Walter Mondale and Kamala Harris. And of course, that initial part where he was praising mainstream Republicans and conservative Republicans is just completely out of touch and just a flat-out lie, because all the Republicans have the same policies. I mentioned tax cuts for the rich and endless wars and deregulation and destroying the climate and destroying the planet. So he is still legitimizing the non-MAGA Republicans, which is horrible. So overall, lucid and awake speech, and on the substance, somewhat good, somewhat bad.